because I know
Don't
you.
date the hoodlums, man.
Oh yeah, and penis management is the theme for this month because Anthony Edwards is on the chopping block as well. But
That I think both of them are at fault, but it is what it is.
I was gonna say now, mind you, I don't necessarily think that. Well, I don't even. Why do you think that the person that Anthony Edwards was messing with? Why do you think that she's at fault?
It sounds like from the conversation that it was understood that he doesn't want to have children. It was already understood. Like, why are you acting surprised? I don't want to have kids.
You felt like that was already understood based off of the text messages.
Yes.
What I want to know where you got that from.
However, even if it was, let's say this is the first time she ever had a conversation, it's like, hey, I'm pregnant, um, and I want to have the child because I had an abortion before. His ability to say, well, I don't want to have a child, so I think you should get an. I don't think that he's wrong in that.
Oh no, I don't think that he's wrong in that. When we talked about penis management though, he should I will say the AI baby is probably where I would say she's wrong. Like that the AI baby is crazy. Because that's but the idea that uh we're talking about penis management, you talking about don't date the hoodlums. That was
Oh well, then, but in that situation, Anthony Edwards is a hoodlum as well. That's still applicable to both parties.
oh well, there you
Why
go.
why 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 are you why are you dealing with a man unprotected sex and you don't even know the intentions of this type of relationship? Why haven't you had that conversation with him? Let's say they did have that conversation. Why did you not have the conversation about having kids with somebody when you're having unprotected sex with them?
Now I believe something to be different there. I'm reading the text messages now. It's not. It wasn't a preconceived thing. Oh well, this is from TMZ. I don't know, but yeah. It wasn't like a preconceived. I didn't want to have kids type thing. He says, yeah, but I don't want kids. He just said, get an abortion, LOL. And this sounded like it may have been the first time that they had the conversation about not having kids.
Yeah, let's say it was. Again, why are you having unprotected sex with somebody that you don't know their intentions with the relationship?
Now, I can agree there. My
Okay,
counter,
so
my only
okay.
counter to that would be these niggas be talking nasty on the phone and in the pillows.
I
But
still think it's naive to then still have the not have a clear conversation about what you call it.
oh no. I can understand that. I think that people do switch up too. But what I'm saying is in that conversation,
And do you think that happened to Anthony Edwards at one
low
point?
key, low key, low key,
She
low
had
key.
no, they had a conversation saying, "Hey, we're having this conversation. I before we start having unprotected sex, I would like to know where we're going with this. If you're going to take me serious, and if you are going to take me serious, how do you feel about having kids? Do you think that conversation was had?
In the conversation of actually both of them, not phrased like that, but I think that in some fashion those things were kind of stated, whether it be. And I understand what you're saying because at that point it would still be about intentionality. And right, you should have intentionality when you have an unprotected sex with people, because
Hmm.
think people can say things in the throes of the moment. That's fucked up. I do agree with that, and they shouldn't be saying that. But in order to protect yourself, you should have a more intentional conversation. He might have told her, "You my only, you the one and only. Ain't nobody coming in between us." Da 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 da. And also, when he was hitting her from the back, he might have been like, "Oh yeah, have my baby, take these kids." And if she was ready to have a baby, taking these kids, I think it's she might have continued on with the sex or whatever the case may be. But no, I don't think that they might have had the intentional conversation. So I'll tip your hat to that.
Let's let and
Because
then let's say even
what if he was beating her shit up crazy and said, "Oh yeah, have my babies."
you think that would be an acceptable way to figure out if the relationship is serious enough to have his kids?
I don't think that that would be serious enough, but I could see how somebody, oh damn, well he did say he wanted you to have the babies. I wouldn't go about it that way.
And I think if
But
a person
I've been
tries to use
talking,
that,
you know what I'm saying? Oh, go ahead.
if a person decides to use that as the bounds, the standard and expectations and bounds and structure to the belief of I'm going to have his kids, I think that's a very idiotic way to go about it. And I think that you would believe that. I think 99% of people would believe that as well.
I don't think
Especially this.
99% of people will believe that. That's where I
Well,
think you're
let me
wrong.
really say that back. It depends on how what other back and forth conversations that were happened before that. Like if I met you on the first night and I took off, and as we're having sex, and I took off and nutted in you, and before I nutted you, I was like, have my kids, and that was the first time we
Took
ever
off
met.
crazy.
Then you would sound
Yeah, you would
dumb.
sound crazy to 99% of people. But also, if they had a long-standing relationship for years, and I'm not saying this to be
Oh,
true
now if it
about
was
men.
years, but let's say it was years, then it would be more reasonable to believe that. Yes, it would.
That's what I'm saying. If she was the side chick for an extended period of time,
yes,
and they had conversations, because again, I know how niggas be pillow talking. I know how niggas be saying one thing and meaning another. I know how these things go. And then he says to her in the throes of sex, because come on, don't act like you
oh
never
no,
said it.
if
You
it's
ain't never told a
years,
girl I'm about to bust off.
no,
Oh,
no.
God, it's crazy.
If it's
You ain't
years,
never had sex
then
with somebody you
yes,
felt like you could bust off in?
maybe for like 2-3 months.
Mm.
If it was years, then I would agree with you. Face ass. If it was years, I would agree with you. But I don't think that the dynamic of their relationship was years standing or anything that was serious building up to that.
Or even, I mean, in years. Well, I don't know what defines a series. I do think that he was pillow talking in her ear though, and this could have been over the course of a couple months. To be quite honest with you, to be 100,000% honest with you,
I think you're still very naive, even if it was over a couple of months. If there was no clear understanding of
couple of
what we
months
were
meaning
doing,
like 6+ months, and I get what you're saying.
couple of months does not mean 6.
To me, hey, we all got different.
A couple literally means 2. But
We all
let's say a few months. Let's say it's 4 to 6 months. Even within 4 to 6 months, if you have not been able to get some clear understanding of what was happening in the relationship, just words, him saying, "Oh yeah, you're my only one," and that's essentially it. I still think that you were
actions
very
too, though,
naive and
words
dumb.
and actions.
Or nutting in you, it had to be more
No,
action
no, no,
than
no,
that.
no. He could be. I
Oh, I
mean,
was about to say,
Anthony,
it had to be more
the
action.
nigga was proactively dropping 100K on her as some form of hush money, not unprovoked. That nigga could have been paying for her whole lifestyle, for all we know. That nigga could have been paying.
Could be.
Yeah, he could have been paying her rent, bills, all this, that, and the third. She could have even been open to the idea of polyamory, polygamy, all this stuff like that. Like they could.
So, but this kind of goes back to the original conversation we had before we wrap this up because it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning.
Could have been sleepy ass nigga.
If
You
I just think
tired?
this is where I think because I've been streaming since like 7:30. This is where the
I've been streaming my whole
conversation of
life.
like this is where the conversation of like what like how many leaps and bounds. I'm not saying you're saying this. We're just chatting right now. But the more leaps I have to do, the more like it's going to be harder to convince me of one thing or another. So if somebody is saying that it's not only like for me to believe that without a reasonable doubt that she was just duped and convinced one thing that wasn't the case, I would have to believe that they had an ongoing a relationship for probably longer than 6 months. Within that relationship, they had conversations about how serious she was, and then within those conversations, there was also understanding the conversations that we're having unprotected sex. So, do you want to have a child with me? And if that happens, then what do we do? If those things do not transpire, then I can't give like I think that at that point, then both parties play some part in what's going on.
And that's your
That makes sense.
uneducated outside perspective of the situation.
No, I'm saying yes. I'm saying this goes in a general sense. The more leaps with the limited information that we have, the more leaps that I have to do to come to that conclusion, the harder it is for me to believe that the responsibility is laid more heavily on one side than the other versus on both sides of the aisle.
And
look at me, my nigga. You see me? Looking kind of, you know what I'm saying?
What am I looking at? I don't understand.
I look kind of good. No cap, bro. I'm slimming down. You know what I'm saying? Chat, I'm not slimming down, chat.
It's the depression, y'all. It's the depression. You are self-admittedly lonely. No, I can hear what you're saying.
You gotta pick a troll.
What you mean?
Am I talking to a whole bunch of women or am I lonely? Which one is it?
Self-admittedly lonely though. Like,
oh my god,
we've talked about that when you were at the other house. I think I hear what you're saying. I think that in levels of seriousness, because we can sit here and joke about like Anthony Edwards and the seriousness of send the video which is fine. When it gets to more serious matters, it's like let's just leave this to the leave these. Now, I think that woman will probably go on a book tour and out the fact that he was pillow talking or whatever the case to people. Because I also don't put it past these folks to be pillow talking and
I agree with you. Yeah.
sitting there, man, you gonna have my
Well,
kids. Because I've also been in some pussy that's made me say some stuff like that.
But I think I think 1 month of pillow talking is not enough. That's what I'm saying.
No,
I'm not saying it was 1 month, but I'm just saying in a general sense, the pillow talking would have to be more than just like a short amount of pillow talking for you to convince me otherwise.
And I would say this to that point before you go. I would say this to that point. That's fine. That's how you would deal with relationships, and maybe that's based off of like you would have to investigate like, oh well, why does Lo feel that way about his past or about relationships based off of his past, what's transpired, et cetera, et cetera. Somebody on the flip side might say, oh, that's all that takes for me because in my life, my parents your parents moved hella fast on their relationship, speaking on how they went about things. And so I don't know. I mean, it's a personal preference. That's perfectly fine. And we all can't say what we would do because it sounds, funny being on the outside in. But especially if we're having a serious conversation. If we're joking, yeah, I can say what I'm. Yeah. I'm gonna tell her what she want to hear too, though, just so I can hear raw. So I don't know. But also,
I'm not doing that. I know, but people have different. But I'm just not doing that.
You're not Anthony Edwards.
That's what I'm saying. People have different extents to what they're willing to do to fuck someone raw, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
especially fuck raw and then nut inside of them.
But you are also a trick, so I don't know how far this conversation like
being a trick versus nutting in someone and getting them pregnant are two different things.
I get it, and also you probably have never had good pussy in your life.
Even if I didn't, even if I did have good pussy, I still would not be quick to fuck somebody with no condom.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm playing with you. Hey, I get it. I'm a raw guy, so but I also wouldn't have sex with somebody that I don't see myself potentially having a baby with. Like even if it was, and this is gonna sound crazy, even with my current girlfriend, we probably started having sex a couple months into the relationship. If
so you're saying you could see yourself getting pregnant, getting Danielle's pregnant.
Yeah, but even before today, I'm saying back then when we first started.
I get that, yeah. Sex. So for at least like years now at this point, you see getting Danielle pregnant.
Yeah, we've been together for 4 years, dude. If I couldn't see if I couldn't see myself getting her pregnant today, we would we would not be together. Hey, look, the NBA's got a BBL problem and it's getting out of hand. Look, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with what Zion did or what Anthony Edwards did. They fell in love with the woman and then they started pillow talking and dirty macking with them. It's the fact that they got caught. And the problem that I really have is all the men and NBA fans on the internet acting as if this is some strange, out of the ordinary type situation. It happens all the time. The only reason why you're surprised is because you think that these men are cooler than what they are. But we got to remember, these are like 20-something-year-old kids who sit around fantasizing and fetishizing about the next BBL bandit that they see on Instagram. And then finally, when they get the opportunity through the fame and the fortune, they reach out to them, they DM them up, fly them out, spend the massive amounts of money that they have, they don't know what to do with, on them. They're laying up, pillow talking about all the things they would do, et cetera, et cetera. And then when the BS hits the fan, then they want to hide their hands and play it like they're cool. Listen, whether you believe Anthony Edwards or Zion Williamson is cool or not, that doesn't matter to me. What I do know is they're just regular dudes that just so happen to be good at basketball with money and that are tall. They're doing the same simp-like activities that any other dude would do. So